how the difference was last year going to like 4-6, not making the playoffs, and the turnaround this year. So I'm gonna be recording for that. So y'all can speak up. That would be great. But yeah, my first question just for y'all is just looking for the players. You know, talk about the last game of the season last year. You guys finished 4-6. What was going through y'all heads after that year? After that year and knowing you got another year under your belt to come back, what was in your minds?
I mean, last year, the last game, after we lost to Western Elements, I felt like we were a little down on ourselves. I think that we were just, let down. Best way to put it. I think that we knew that there was a big, margin of seniors that were leaving. Some good players too, but honestly, we were a little let down until, I want to say later that year when Coach Johnson came. I felt like there's a lot of hope that came in, which it showed a lot this year. So,
for me, I got injured early last year, and I sat out the whole year. And then the last game, I got to play, even though it was still partially broken. I got in, threw a touchdown to Zay over there. I threw a pick too, but just being able to get back on the field for the fourth quarter, it really just helped me strive to work with the same players, get better for next year.
So. For me, I got hurt early too. I sat out most of the season, if not almost all of it, and I just knew I had to bring it for next year. Like, I really started really taking the game serious, like going into my senior year, doing everything I could do to just get ready for this year, and I feel like it really paid off. And that's why we went. That's why we did better than we did last year.
You guys got anything?
I feel like we knew that at the end of that game, we had a lot of seniors that were going to be leaving, and I think it hurt a lot of people. And I think with that, and we also pushed us to be better for the next season. I think that also helped the change last year this year.
You gotta say that. But yeah, so okay. So and then take me to when you guys find out Coach Johnson was coming on board, right? What was your reactions? How did you guys feel about that?
Well, I'll go first. He came to school. It was the middle of the day. He just came from school. That's the first time meeting him in person because I knew, we saw that he was getting the job. So we talked a little bit on Twitter too. But honestly, first time meeting him in person, it was a great impression. I honestly was really shocked of what he had planned for the future for us, especially. He's done amazing things to our program. He said things that I wanted to hear because at one point we were all thinking about transferring or not playing football, and a lot of us thought that way. And when he came in, he changed all of our minds. And honestly, it showed. Like I said, it showed a lot this year. And I'm so glad that he came in and not only taught me to be a young man, but taught me how to be a better player too. So I can't thank him enough for this year. So yeah.
Yeah, I was weighing options on where to play or all that stuff with coaching changes. And I saw Coach Johnson was the new coach, and he stopped me and Gus in the hallway and immediately just got down to what he wanted to do, why we need to be here, very well spoken, and that he believes in what he does. He does, he plays his offense and the program's being run by him. And just meeting him for the first time, I knew we could build something here, and if we stayed, we could have a successful year, and that's what we ended up doing, and everything paid off.
I was gonna say, I was surprised too. When I first met him from the get, I could already tell he loved football. He was already talking about what we were gonna do for the season. Barely even knew me, but he see the potential in me, and it was just a great coach. I think he was gonna be good for the season. Yeah, Coach, you can chime in on this one. Well, but what were those conversations like? You grabbed him, Carson, and talked to them. What were you wanting to instill in them from the get-go?
So I had the receipts. As soon as I got in the car, and I texted Darcy. I was like, I don't know what God has planned, but I do know that there are a lot of amazing-looking athletes at this school, and I really feel blessed that this is the place that we're to be. I was super excited, and one of the first things I knew I had to do was put a lot of football guys around these guys, and that was like one of my first calls was Coach BJ down there, because I had heard about him and that he was trying to find a place to coach, and so the biggest thing that we wanted to do was put a bunch of guys that had been around Northwood and knew what Northwood was, because we wanted to build it back up to that. And then it helps that Coach BJ gets to help them with life, because we talk about helping these guys grow up in the game of life and being champions of life. But he's got a great football IQ, and we talked. I think we talked for like an hour and 15 minutes the one day, and just kept talking ball. And so I was super excited about the coaches that we were able to bring in, and then just knowing the athletes that we had, it was just like every day I was meeting somebody else. And I met Zay on the day that I came in. I met Antoine on the first day. He was the first one that gave a very strong impression that he was going to be a talker. But it was a blessing in disguise. I think that there's just so much talent that was walking the hallways. We just kind of really needed to make sure that we were doing our due diligence and let everybody know that they had an opportunity to play football, and that we wanted to build this into something special.
And I guess I know you mentioned like last year, some of you guys almost thought about not even playing again, right? So just kind of, what was it about Coach Johnson? Well, first of all, talk more about that. Like, where were those feelings coming from that year? And then talk about how Coach Johnson kind of turned that around.
I think the main thing was we were uncomfortable. I think we were put in situations that were just a little bit uncomfortable for some players. Some players, didn't really care, but others, I'd say most were uncomfortable. I think the other thing was just like the passion, like people didn't have the fire in them. And I think when Coach Johnson came, he brought the passion. He brought that intensity. He brought that fire, and it lit all of us up. It got us all up as a team. And I always tell them this too. For the past 2 years since freshman year coming in, I haven't seen really everybody like smile at practice. Everybody like be themselves at practice, enjoying the time, enjoying the 3 hours of practice. It's a long day, but every time we practiced, it was always fun. Every time we were out there, it was just a family, and that's why I think we had a very successful year. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get into the offseason. So, Coach Johnson, your first offseason with them, and players too, if you can answer this, but kind of what was the difference between the offseason y'all's, last year, junior year for some of y'all, and then coming in with Coach Johnson, the offseason with him, and what did that bringing out that passion feel like and look like in that offseason?
So I'll start. I know the biggest one for me was, I think the first week I was here, I made sure to come to the basketball game. And I wanted to make sure that people knew that we weren't here just for football. I mean, all of us coaches, I think a couple times we all came as a staff, and we wanted to make sure that these guys knew that we supported them. Even though they weren't doing football workouts and all that, we just wanted to make sure that these guys understood that we support the multi-sport athletes and that we want them to be successful no matter what they did. And I'll tell you that I think that's one of the biggest changes that listening to the guys was we weren't seeing them as just football players. Like, we were seeing them as Northwood student athletes that played multiple sports, and we weren't putting the pressure on, hey, you have to do this while also finishing up your season or during the spring. It was, hey, whenever we're here, whenever you are ready. And ready to get back to work for football. And I always say that we support that, and that we want these guys to all play multiple sports, because that's going to help them, and also it's going to help all their teammates in all the different sports, because whether it's game of football, game of basketball, you learn different life skills through each sport. And so we knew as coaches that was very beneficial, because we all played 2 or 3 sports in high school and some even in college. And so our plan was, hey, let's be patient. We know that they're going to show up, and we know that when spring ball, we know that summer we're going to have them all to ourselves. But right now, let's make sure they understand that we're here and we're here for good.
Anybody want to speak on kind of the differences in the off seasons and how that went for you?
You pretty much hit it on the ball, man. I mean, it was just juggling between basketball and football. I mean, it was kind of hard, but you could still tell that people just really cared and still try to show up for like the off-season workouts and stuff. Just get ready for the season. Really.
I'd say it was very deliberate in the way we practiced in the off season. Not everyone was there. They had basketball camps. People had whatever else, vacation, and anytime we had people there, we instilled our basics in our offense and our defense, and just that we're learning the game of football. Not as much working on conditioning, which is still a big part of off-season workouts, which we did, but I feel like we more focused on the actual game of football and getting better at our plays and what we do.
Yeah, and then talk about kind of how you guys reacted to Coach Johnson. You can, chime in on this too, how you saw your players respond. But when he came in, and I'm talking about like from the weight room to spring practice, how did you guys react to the way he did things?
Always give it your all. I mean, I think that's his biggest thing, is just giving it your all wherever you go. And I think that, just being yourself. And that's all I got to say. So, yeah.
I think that we've been blessed to have such a good, successful basketball program. So Antoine knows how to work, Zay knows how to work, Ash knows how to work, Gus knows how to work, and then Carson has just been sorry, he's not a basketball guy. Well, sorry, he is. What was the championship team?
Hey, Wright County Championship.
Stay tuned.
Hey, they actually banned the 18 league, so we can't even play this year. Hey, we need to start a strike.
But
bring back 18U rec basketball.
But they had instilled in them how to work hard. You can even ask these guys, like when we were making our push, and I was like, hey, basketball players, lacrosse guys, all you guys that have had success here at Northwood, help us with these guys that have not done that, because we had a lot of guys that was the first time playing football or just playing sports in general, a team sport. Help us with reaching those guys. Like, hey, teach them how we do things, like how you warm up right, you practice right, you lift right, you run right. And I'll say the biggest one that I was impressed with was we had the one or two times where it rained or we had a tornado warning. These guys listened to everything that we had to say. And we got as much work as we possibly could, and they would tell us that, and this isn't towards anything, but a lot of times before our staff got here, they would just go home or they wouldn't have practice, but we still found a way to get better. And I think that's the one. We have a coach on our staff that talks about 1% and everything that we do, get 1% every day. And for me, I talk about winning the day and attacking the day. And so I think they really instilled into them, but I think they already had it, but we kind of brought it out and kind of helped them be our leaders to emphasize, winning the day and being 1% better. And when we show up, we're going to get better and we're going to work together as a team.
Yeah, and then take me to, week one, you guys did a full offseason, first one with Coach Johnson. So were there any kind of different feelings than the previous week ones you guys had? Like, okay, this year might be a little different. Was that like a feeling on the team in the locker room? More confident?
Glad we feel more.
Yeah, I feel like for us, we really were confident. We expected us to do very well this season, and we came out with a high energy. Even though we still lost the first game, we still were like, oh yeah, we got this. It was compared to last year, we were just oh no, it wasn't really energy bringing out.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. It's just I think last year's first week was just a little bit more, more down. We were a little bit, not comfortable in the situation we were put in. We played against a good Lee County team last year, and and this year we played against a really good Riverside team, and actually ended up competing with them, even though we lost. But we learned a lot that game, and honestly, win or lose, we had fun, and it was our first week, so yeah.
Yeah, those first two weeks y'all played out in higher classification teams, so tough competition. But I know y'all dropped those first two games. Like you said, y'all competed in those.
Well, we beat Union Pines.
Oh yeah, y'all beat Union Pines.
It was ugly. It was a tough one.
Yeah.
And that was, I think that was the signature moment of this team. There was two signature moments this year. Our win against Union Pines made everybody believe in everybody on the team because it took everybody in the program to win. We had hydration issues. It was 100 degrees that day, and we had a bunch of people that were playing a bunch of different positions, and so we stepped up. Concussions, guy got kicked out.
Two touchdowns called back.
I mean, it was rough, and so Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't know how none of us survived that game. But then the next one was Northmore. That was a moment that we needed to get smacked in the mouth. And Northmore does a great job with that for everybody. It was one of those things of, I think the players and talking to them and even talking to Coach BJ was, that's when they started believing in us and started listening to us, because the ways that they had been trying to do it wasn't working. So they knew that they had to hunker down and, all right, let's listen to these coaches. Let's focus in as a team. And after that, we started rolling. And then that next week we played Southeast Alamance, and they're a great team. They're still playing the playoffs, and we rolled them 55-9. And we played, I think, only 2.5 quarters that game. Our backups played, and that those were our two defining moments, I think, for this season.
Yeah. So you would say Union Pines was like, okay, this is. Would y'all say? Did y'all already kind of think like this is a different team from the Union Pines game? Like.
Yeah. I just from the week one we had we weren't together as a team as we needed to be. After that Union Pines game, it was okay, we're together. Like we just had a lot of stuff going on with the Northmore game. We had a lot of people that were sick. We didn't have Mason Powell, one of our emotional leaders on defense, wasn't there. Carson got banged up, and it was a weird feel. All that good, just not a very good feel. But that Union Pines game, we were all it felt like after that first win of the year. A weight was lifted off our shoulders, and then after that, I'll be honest, it just every day was a lot of fun, and some days they stressed us coaching staff out, but we had fun. And a lot of our Friday nights, Thursday nights, depending on when we played, it was one heck of a season. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and also I wanted to get into that 5-game win streak you guys had, because y'all played some good teams, like I said, Southeast, and then Seaforth. Y'all rolled them after last year. Seaforth was a tough game too. So just talk about what were the feelings in the locker room with you guys during that 5-game win streak? How did you guys feel? What was the confidence levels like on the team?
I'd say we were spreading the ball around. It was fun in those 5 games. I mean, we had 4 great receivers and 2 great running backs, and we were just able to get the ball to everyone, have fun in each of those games, and playing in-county rivals. I mean, it's fun. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, yeah, confidence was definitely higher, which led to us actually playing better, and I feel like that just kept rolling on our 5-game win streak, and it just really helped us throughout the season, actually, the whole season.
You two guys? Yeah, and then y'all took that momentum right into the Cummins game. So, and I know I was talking to a lot of y'all before that game when I was there, and y'all were really confident going into that one, despite playing against Jonathan Paylor, one of the best players in the state. So, with that confidence before that game, did you guys ever feel that before this season, going against a good team like that?
I don't think so. I mean, leading up to that week, that was the most confident I've ever felt, and as a team, I think we've ever felt going into a game. And that was the toughest opponent of the year, and you could just tell that we were ready to play. And it didn't turn out how we wanted, but
I think we wanted to prove some. I think that was our main thing. Was a lot of people had favors in the Cummings, especially that future teammate of mine, Jonathan Paylor, how good he is too. I think there was just a lot of like that involved with it, and I think that we were just really, really psyched to play that game too. And like he said, even though it didn't go our way, he got hurt too, which was a major factor. Carson, it was a major factor that we needed, offense and defense. But honestly, we learned, and playing against Chatham Central, we just proved it again, and then so.
Yeah, like Gus said, I think it's just like we just wanted to prove something, and going off those 5-game win streaks, that really boosted our confidence going in there too. So we were just ready to play and to beat a team that nobody thought we could beat. Like, we had nobody on our side, and I just think we wanted to prove something really.
And if you take a look at that game, you're going against one of the best players in the state, and we're going into a sophomore backup quarterback that played his butt off. But I will say that the receivers, that skill group, they did everything they could to help him out. And so it was one of those things that going into that, when Carson got hurt, could tell it was bothering, and it fazed people because Carson not only is our quarterback, but he's one of our emotional leaders, and we had a plan. He was going to play some deep, it really bummed a lot of people out, and so it took a little bit for us to shake it off. But what I was proud of as a coach was, after that happened, nobody hung their hat. They hung their head, and they didn't give up. You know, we kept fighting. There was a moment there that we stopped them on third down, and then we scored, and we were within a possession. And that, what I had talked to a lot of people around the community and the school, that's not what the old Northwood would have done. And so, you know, we were making some changes, and these guys did it within themselves, that they believed in their teammates, and they wanted to accomplish something special, because they put a lot of work in, and it didn't go in our favor. But the best part was, after the game, nobody was hanging their hat, and everybody was just like, all right, let's come and let's get better. And that's a part that I was very proud of these guys. Was we became very strong mentally during the season. At the beginning, was a little nervous about it, but we grew as a team, we grew mentally, and we got better physically and at all of our skill development, which is what you're supposed to do during the season. So
yeah, and then of course you guys earned the playoff berth, right? And that for y'all, I know. Did y'all ever make the playoffs before this year?
His sophomore.
Your sophomore year.
2 years
Your
ago.
freshman.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, it wasn't like a guaranteed thing every year, right? So, just how different did it feel this year, knowing, okay, we are one of the best teams in our conference, we will make the playoffs, and knowing that you will play a week 11, like, what was that feeling like?
It felt good, you know. I kind of missed out on that opportunity last year. Even though I really wanted it badly last year to be in the playoffs, we missed out on it. This year felt really good. I think we learned, that week. Especially we had that bye week. We had a lot of game plan. A lot of people that were hurt and banged up. That was a really good time to have a bye week, because it had, everybody was 100%. Everything was just, by that time that week rolled around, everybody was 100%. Everybody was, ready to roll. We knew it was going to be cold. We looked at little things like that. We knew that the team that we're about to play against is, really aggressive. Honestly, it's a great feeling. Even though it didn't go our way, honestly, 2 years basically, haven't gone to the playoffs, it's a really good feeling, and to be a part of it again. So yeah.
I know for our foundation that when I got here, talking to the guys, was we had a bunch of goals that we wanted to meet, and one of them was to make the playoffs. Now there was two others. Obviously everybody's goal is to win a state championship. One of our other ones was to host a home game. So we were hoping that we were going to be able to host a home game, but then when things didn't go our way with the Cummings game, we kind of, all right, we'll still be in the playoffs, so we knew that we were going to accomplish that goal. What I think it is, we laid a good foundation for the next coming years is, all right, we got to this level, now it's time to build up for the next couple of levels and set some more goals. It was exciting to see these guys. That week was a pretty interesting, crazy week. But you could tell these guys felt confident, and I'll say from the moment that I had gotten here to this past couple of weeks, there's a different vibe, and these guys are very confident in themselves. They carry themselves a different way. But the thing that I love the most is that they're having fun, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, that's what we do this for, is for these student athletes and giving them the best opportunity and to have the best experience while playing, whether it's basketball, football, and to see that they're happy and that they're having fun. That, for me as a coach, that means a lot. As much as I want to win on the field, it's seeing how these guys are having fun and how much closer we've come together as a program. That's what, at the end of the day, that's a big goal of mine. So I'm pretty happy with where we're at, and we set a foundation, but we got something to build upon.
Right. Yeah, y'all, like you said, you got something to build upon. And after that last game, I know you guys, shared your emotional moment with the team afterwards, but for the guys coming back, like Gus, y'all are coming back too, right? I know Isaiah's coming back, and you also got Grayson coming back, who showed the last couple of weeks that he can really step in and start for you guys. So just talk about how will you guys kind of approach this offseason a little bit differently, if you will, and how will you do that?
I think we're gonna have a big chip on our shoulder. I think that we're gonna, I talk about want to prove something. I think this is we're going to prove even more. I know now we had a big, major senior group this year. Mason, Brinker, Carson, Ashton, a few more guys. Those, these guys, meant everything for this team. And now me going in my senior year next year, I got to step up. I know these guys are going to as well. I think that, like I said, just having a huge chip on our shoulder, and that we're going to even go beyond the first round of the playoffs, and hopefully it goes our way and we're carrying home a state champion. So, yeah.
I can speak on that as well. Just last year, this previous year, is a lot of teaching them little things about just the game of football themselves. A lot of kids still to this day don't even watch football on their own, so it was kind of hard teaching them certain things to where now this upcoming off season, we shouldn't have to teach the little things. We can get straight to getting bigger, stronger, faster. They know what to expect out of us, so we should be even better this upcoming season.
Yeah, and Coach Johnson, just, how do you feel about the future? Of course, having these guys back, and like we said, Grayson has 2 more years with you, and you're continuing to put your imprint on this program. So, just how do you feel about your future?
I've already talked to a lot of them. I think we'll be even better next year. I'm excited about the skill guys that we have coming back. They're going to get even better, and you see what the stats and some of the numbers that they put up. And if we can keep this one healthy, we'll have a 1-2 punch in the backfield. We'll have another good quarterback that can follow with what Carson set, and then our defense is going to get even better. And so it's exciting. I think we have a bright future. And the best part is these juniors that are about to be seniors, they're going to develop a good bond for this program, and they're going to be really good leaders for these young guys, and they already kind of look up to them. And so those freshmen that are going to be sophomores now that have got all those reps on JV, and we took some butt whoopings on JV, but those guys got every rep. They've gone against our varsity guys, and so now I think we'll be even deeper next year with depth-wise. But I think if you take a look at any team and you see the skill guys we have coming back and the amount of contributions coming back, it makes you feel like you're doing really well. We're going to miss the seniors. That was the hardest part on Friday night for me, was how much these guys have been through. I felt like personally I let them down not being able to win a playoff game while they were here. But we did everything we could, and I'll be honest, the way that we lost on Friday, I think the biggest message that we had to the guys is this next year we're going to finish, and that's all we got to say is this next year we're going to finish. Whatever that means, we're going to get it done, and I think that they're going to carry that mentality because none of us like to lose. I mean, whether we're shooting in the basketball here in the gym, we're all competitive, and none of us want to lose, and we have a sour taste in our mouth. So I think next year our goal is to get our get back. So.
Yeah, that's about all I got for questions. But thank y'all for taking the time to sit with me, talk about this, man, because I enjoyed following y'all, especially Carson. He had a great season, Gus, great season. All y'all did well. So, and I'll be excited to see y'all for basketball. So, but yeah, thank y'all for this. And Coach, can you tell me your first and last name and spell it for me?
Coach BJ Harrington, BJ and then HARRINGTON.
Just one R.
2 R's.
Oh, 2 R's.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's all I got for y'all.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you all think of Asheebo? That's what we need to know.
Yeah,
Great job.
Great. No, honestly, really good interview.
Yeah, good job.
Enjoyed every second of it. So.